Tonight is the Zwift Racing League race number 2 on Turf and Surf. It is a points race and I will be racing with Grit. So right here is the course profile, and you can see the only 2 sprints that will have points on this race. So the first sprint is the alley sprint. It will have both FAL and FTS points, and then the Shisha sprint, which also has FTS and FAL points. The only thing is both of these bring an interesting aspect. So the alley sprint is right at the beginning of the race. So it's going to be like a 2-minute full-on effort. And then the Shisha sprint is at the top of the climb. So you have to stay with the group through the climb and then still have the legs to sprint and try to get some points in either FTS, FAL, or maybe both. So right here is a quick breakdown of the points distribution. So I wanted to give a quick little explanation for those of you that don't know how these points work. So the FAL is first across the line. It doesn't necessarily matter how fast you go through the sprint. It's just if you're over the sprint first in the entire race, you get all the points. FTS is timed though. It doesn't matter what position you come across. It's just how fast from the start of the sprint to the end of the sprint. And then that big blue piece of the pie is the finishing points, which accounts for a huge piece of these points. And this morning I actually focused really heavily on the FAL points, and I'm thinking that I probably should have spent a little bit more energy conserving to try to get a good final result in the overall race to get some of those finishing points. So I think I'm actually going to switch up my strategy a little bit tonight and try to get a better result in the end for some more points. So now, with all my boring explanations, let's get into it. So going into this first sprint here, I knew that people were going to come out pretty hot, so I figured I'd do the same and just try to stay towards the front of the group here to make sure that I could get optimal FAL points. I knew with a 2-minute effort I probably wasn't going to get many FTS points, so my goal was to just hit it really hard and stay towards the front for FAL. This is a pretty long sprint, so I knew that I probably wasn't going to have a ton of energy left over, so I was just kind of trying to keep my power up high, but not like full-on sprint high, so that I could make sure I stayed towards the front. It worked out pretty well. I think I came across the line 5th in FAL on this one, and Remy got like 2nd FAL, but then I think he also got really high in FTS points as well, so we did really good on that first sprint as a team. After that first sprint, there really wasn't much action. My plan was to completely conserve as much energy as I possibly could. Don't go to the front at all. Try to conserve so that I could try to execute my plan on the climb with the sprint at the top. So coming into the sprint, I couldn't really remember this morning when I popped my feather and went off. This morning, I actually didn't really even think that I was going to be able to get away, so this evening, it was part of my actual plan, so I couldn't really remember when, so I just kind of played it by ear, and you'll see here in a second when I actually pop my feather and start hitting it. So if you look down there at the bottom at the elevation chart, you can see we're about a quarter of the way up the climb. So I knew that I was going to have to pop that feather pretty quick. So right there I popped it, and I knew that I was going to have to hit it really hard to get a gap. And I pretty quickly opened up a decent little gap. You can see right there I'm at 3 seconds, and I ended up opening it up to 7 seconds, I think. And I really had to bury myself to stay away, but I was able to come across the line first. For FAL, I didn't get any FTS points, but what was great is Remy surfed a bunch of wheels, conserved his energy, and then actually still had energy to sprint. So he got 3rd in FAL and I think he got first in FTS on this one. So another just massive point sprint for Grit here. Worked out really well. This morning I had a 8-week 3-minute power PR in this climb of like 4:11. So I thought I wasn't going to be able to pull it off this evening, but I actually upped that. I had a 3-minute power of 4:16 and was able to hold them off for first in FAL points. So after that sprint, we had 24 left in this lead group. Once again, my plan, just conserve as much energy as possible for that final climb. But my strategy was going to be a little bit different this evening than it was this morning. My goal was to just stay with the pack, draft. The whole climb is draftable, conserve as much energy as I could so that I had some energy left for that final sprint to get a good finishing result. So I'm going to keep the speed here at about double. There wasn't really anything too exciting on this climb. I usually get pretty antsy and try to, make a move, but I just made sure that I stuck to my plan, and I feel like I executed it pretty well. I just stayed right in the middle of this pack of the entire climb, and I was still feeling pretty good, so I knew that I had a decent shot at a good final result. So right about here is the top of the climb. We did drop about 2 guys. One guy went off the front. He had about a 6-second gap on us, but I was still pretty confident that we would catch him when everybody picked up on the sprint. So I just waited patiently and just tried to execute this on my timing as well as I could. I often have a really hard time timing sprints in Zwift races, but I feel like I did pretty good on this one. So there you see Remy take off, and that's when everybody started to kind of pick up their speed. I hit it pretty hard, but left a little bit of top end, so I'll let you watch the rest.
Oh, Noodles going. Let's go, let's go, let's go! 100 meters. 100 meters. Fantastic, boys.
2, 3.
Whew. Man, you guys are the real deal. Fantastic. Man. Oh, man.
So I was able to actually finish in 3rd place, which is by far my best personal result in a ZRL race. So I was feeling pretty good about this. I definitely cycling high after this race. It was a lot of fun. So I'm going to do a quick little screen recording bouncing around the results sheet here to try and explain everything that happened. So you can see that we finished in 1st place for this race. Open that up, you can just see, I mean, we were stacking the points. We got 378 points. The next closest to us was 327, so I mean, we had a pretty good margin on those guys. So breaking it down, you can see Nate got 83. I was able to finish with 92. Remy got 100, which is just absolutely insane. 50, 28, 25. I mean, all of us got really good points. So we just stacked the points and was able to come away with 1st. So that puts us in 3rd place in the overall results. So we'll see if we can kill it in the next couple of races and see if we can overtake that UV team. So real quick, I'm just gonna break down the segments a little bit. So in that first segment, the FAL points for the alley sprint, you can see Remy got second for 19 points. I was able to get fifth for 16 points. And then going into the alley sprint for FTS, you can see that Remy got second on that in FTS for another 8 points. Nate got 6 points. And then, that's the Shisha sprint. But let's hurry and look at the Shisha sprint for the FAL real quick too. So going up to the FAL for the Shisha sprint, I was able to get first on that with 20 points. Remy got fifth for 16 points. Ken got 11. You come down here into the Shisha Sprint FTS though, and that's when more points even start stacking. Remy got second in FTS, or sorry, that was looking at the alley sprint. Remy got first in FTS for 10. Nate got 8, and then Ken got 2. So just, I've said this about a million times, but just constantly stacking up the points for a great result. I mean, we just absolutely smashed it as a team.